In this video, I will turn Kylian Mbappe into a cinematic poster inspired by Christopher Nolan's upcoming film Odyssey. Also, in this video, I will share 2 useful tips that you can use in your own designs. So without wasting any time, let's get started. First, I'm opening the images I'll be using. As you can see, I have a photo of the Bernabeu here. If you are wondering where to get visuals like this, here's my first tip: Google Earth Studio. I type Bernabeu here, and now you can capture an image from any angle you want. For example, you could frame it like this. In the top right corner, there is an option called Save Current Frame to JPEG. I click that and download it to my computer. As you can see, it gives you a rendered image like this. The quality isn't bad. This one is 1920 by 1080. You can adjust the initial settings to render at higher resolution, but this is enough for me. And just like that, you can capture views of any location from any angle you want. Now let's get back to the design. For now, I'm turning this rock black so it doesn't distract the viewer. I'm removing the sky from this image because I will create my own sky later. And my second tip will be about how we can turn this image into a foggy, atmospheric version like this. I go off the filter, and from there I open neural filters. In the panel that appears, I enable depth blur. Then I scroll down and select output depth map only. It will give us an image like this. Make sure the output option at the bottom is set to new layer, and then I click OK. For now, I will hide this layer. I select the stadium layer and create a levels adjustment layer on top of it. I lower the brightness quite a bit. The important thing is that it shouldn't be darker than the rock in the foreground. After that, I create a solid color layer and pick the background color. I clip it to the layer below. The key here is that this color should be slightly darker than the background tone. This shade works well. Now I turn the depth map back on, holding Ctrl. I click here and press Ctrl C to copy it. Then I alt click on the mask of the solid color layer, and the opened view I passed it with Shift Ctrl V. Now when I enable this solid color layer, we get a really effective fog effect. I will make one small adjustment. I select the mask again and press Ctrl L to open levels. Here I push the dark areas darker and the light areas lighter. That's it. Maybe we can tweak this a bit more. And that's good. Now I create a color balance adjustment layer and shift it toward blue. You can see the stadium blends in much better now because the overall atmosphere has a bluish tone. Once I finish some small adjustment, we are done here. I put all of this into one group. I erase some parts of the mountain using a soft brush. This adds a nice atmospheric feel. Then I add another solid color layer and paint in some fog here to help the rock stand out from the background. Now I start building the sky. I create a darker solid color and paint the upper areas using a cloud brush. I found an image like this. I set the blend mode to luminosity, tweak it a bit with blend diff, and lower the opacity slightly. It looks better when I set it as a gradient. I add a bit fog in the mid areas. Moving on to the rock in the foreground, first I shift its color towards blue, then I darken it using levels. In this part, I add Mbappe's shadow falling onto the rock. Since the weather is overcast, the shadows are softer. Now it's time to move on to the main focus of the design, Mbappe. First, I make some adjustments using shadows highlight settings. I brighten the darker areas and darken the brighter. This helps reduce the overall contrast within the image. I create color and vibrance adjustments to slightly desaturate Mbappe's skin tones. Next, I create a levels adjustment and lower the brightness. To make this easier for you, you can create a volume map. To do that, add a white solid color layer and set the blend mode to color. Then you can adjust the brightness more accurately. The important thing is to bring it to a tone that separates it from the background. After setting that up, I add color balance adjustment and shift the colors towards blue to match the environment. I increase the brightness slightly because it became a bit too dark. This jersey looks too bright since it's white, so to fix this I create a curves adjustment and darken it. After setting the blend diff, I apply this darkness to the areas I want. By the way, you can watch the uncut raw version of this design as a speed art video on my Patreon. I've also uploaded the PSD file. Anyone who wants to see what I did in the layers and is curious can become a member and access them. It looks quite good when we check the volume map. I add a bit more shadow under his boots. I also create a solid color for the light and choose the background color. I set it in blend diff so that it only affects the white areas. Then I paint the places where I want to add light using soft brush. After this, I refine the lighting a bit more, which prevents the jersey from looking flat. I do the same for the rock in the foreground. I add a bit of light. After this, there isn't much left to do, only small details remain. For example, I add an overlay like this, which adds a nice atmosphere. All that's left is to add the text. After spending some time deciding which font to choose and making the camera roll adjustment, the design is finished. The design turned out like this. I hope you like it. I read and value your comments, so if you have any ideas or suggestions, feel free to share them. See you in the next video.